said earlier, if you close just the municipal lots and someone wants to get to the resort, they're going to get to the resort. And I wonder if you just move the crowd around, push them into a residential neighborhood, potentially creating a problem in a residential neighborhood, and you've got the same issue. And despite your good intentions, we just made the problem perhaps worse.
Mr. Maddox.
Well, I guess a couple of things. You know, I guess I have a different perspective, but I see this as symptomatic treatment. We've got a problem in one or two spots in the resort. We've got a problem at 17th Street, a little bit lesser problem at 21st and 22nd Street. Frankly, we don't have a problem anywhere else in the resort. Somebody that gets off work at 11:30 or 11:45 somewhere else and wants to come down to the resort and have an Irish coffee in an open-air cafe on the boardwalk now can't do it. And you're suggesting a systemic, system-wide solution for 45 blocks of the, that's going to affect 45 blocks of the resort for 2 blocks that we have problems in. And I don't think it's also a crowd problem. I think it's the quality of the crowd. I think you've got, it's about the people that are in these 2 blocks that perpetrate lewd behavior and profanity, and many of them bring weapons with them. You know, if it was a preacher's convention with that many people, you wouldn't have a problem. And I think Ron made the point, you certainly don't have a problem on Neptune Festival, you don't have a problem on American Music Festival, and the problem's with the quality of people that you've got there, not the quantity of people. And Les, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but somebody who has spent an enormous amount of time walking on Atlantic Avenue with me and with other council members over the years, I want to ask you, do you think we're doing everything we can as vigorously as we can with the laws that are on the books to deal with this situation currently? I mean, by your own admission, essentially the crowds are not conducting commerce. That they're not in the bars, you said, they're not in the restaurant establishments, they're just there hanging out on the street. So we're essentially going to create policy that prevents people that do want to conduct commerce from coming there, because we've got a group of people that aren't conducting commerce. And, you know, at what point, where do you draw that line? I mean, you know, we are a resort. People don't have to go to work the next day. You know, they don't go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, they're up until, you know, and they are conducting commerce till 2 or 3 in the morning, or 2:30 in the morning. And, you know, and we've now essentially sent a signal, or going to send a signal that don't come here after midnight.
Well, to be honest with you, Mr. Maddox, in the last 2 years, I have not gone down there. Ever since the CUP was turned down by the council, and the various overtures that were taken were stopped, and my office quit prosecuting misdemeanors, and we sent that over to the Commonwealth's office. I have not been down there as often. So
One of the things that we have to be most concerned about is public safety, and we know we have some problems down there. Captain Free, and this is one suggestion. What other suggestions do y'all have to help with the behavior and some of the problems that we're starting to have that could get worse?
Well, we have a number of programs in effect now. We have taken the youth intervention team and actually have modified that into police courtesy patrol, which are older college students who are interested in civil service, who are generally, I think this crop is all juniors and seniors. And what we did was we felt that this slightly older group, as opposed to the younger group of the youth intervention team, might be a better way to help interface with the youth. And that's what they do, among other things. You know, we want compliance. The second strategy that we have done, which is the long-term one, is we tried to take the community policing model and graft it into the beachfront, saying that the property owners are the business owners as opposed to the residents. You know, the typical community policing model says you meet with the residences. And we've gone down there and we've conducted a survey of the people to say, well, what are your concerns? What, you live down here, you work here, you know, you own property here, you conduct business here. Tell us what your concerns are.
When we, the council approved Atlantic Avenue Cafes a few years ago, staff actually, you know, one of the big questions was, well, how do we know if it's going to work or it isn't going to work? And there's a lot of debate about that. And staff actually created a matrix as to how to evaluate the program, you know, throughout the summer, at the end of the summer, to determine quantifiably if it worked and if it didn't work. I mean, how do we know, what plan do we have here to do that rather than just to anecdotally say it worked or didn't work? I'd like to, before we do this, know what the objectives are and have some measurable way for us to be able to see whether it worked or not.
You know, we do have taping on Atlantic Avenue where we can actually tape the crowds and show you how big they are as time goes on. And that's a resource that we have available to say, you know, pre-test, post-test.
A number of years ago, before I got here, we closed pizza windows on Atlantic Avenue, which at the end of the day, I'm not sure made any difference at all. We started towing cars at 2:30 in the morning in the public lots with the same sort of idea to signal an end of the evening. You know, I don't know that we've got quantifiable data to show that that's made any difference one way or the other. You know, a boa constrictor doesn't kill you by strangling you. Every time you exhale, it tightens up a little bit more so that you can't breathe in again. And I'm afraid that, you know, little bit by little bit, if we're not careful here, we're going to wake up one day and realize we've collectively sent the wrong message to a lot of different people. And I want to know how this fits into an overall plan. I think you're affecting a lot of good businesses for the behavior of, it's a pretty bad behavior of a very few businesses.